So one of the features that we have to look at is our drawing of support conditions for our structure. Now, for the beginning phases of this, we're going to assume that we're looking at beams, which are mostly horizontal members, but eventually we want to be able to get into the ability to be able to make frames or some other arrangement of members like that. So we need to define some properties of supports, or what they're going to look like, or how they're going to function. And so that's the purpose of what we're looking at today. So the first thing I want to do is we're going to kind of define a few of them. All right. And so we will look at then doing a, there are three basic types. Okay. The first one, oops, let me get a pencil here. All right. The first one is a simple one that looks something kind of like this. Okay, and this is known as a roller, and we'll have a general free body diagram of something that looks like, if this is my node, that there would be some sort of vertical reaction relative to that guy. Okay, and so where my node is the ball. Okay, it's free to move whatever we want to do that way. It's also free to rotate. So we can have, you know, we can pick up if I kind of lay this down, something kind of like this, that there would be some angle of theta. Oh, now you decide to give me the shape that I want. You know, some angle theta associated with that. And that would be our first one. That is just a horrible graphic there. All right. Okay. So that would be our first one. This is what we would call as a roller. Okay. Now there are a lot of different ones that exist in this. The next one that we want to look at then would be, say, why is that auto shape not grabbing it this time? Well, looks something kind of like this. Okay, and again, it's free to rotate, but now it's unable to move left or right, okay? And so this one then would have some sort of vertical reaction that way, and potentially also has a horizontal reaction that looks like this, okay? This is what we would call as a pin. If I could spell right. Would be a pin that looks like that. And then the last one that we have would be this guy, in which now that angle is 0 degrees, okay? And if we go through and we look at this one has three behaviors, and this is the one that's a little bit more challenging. So we're going to start with the simple ones first. It has a vertical and a horizontal reaction, just like all the others, but there's also this moment rotational resistance here, and this is what we call as a fixed support on there. So those are the ones that we're going to deal with. And again, I apologize for the graphics on this, but it gives you kind of a basic statics review if you're not familiar with it. And I do need to put an arrow here. So the arrows represent vectors. If you don't understand the basics of statics, that's fine. We've got a series on that as well. Feel free to take a look at some of our definitions of statics. But everything we do in this project is going to have some sort of statics thing associated with it. Coloring a little, trying to clean that up a little bit. Okay. Whew, that was pretty bad. Okay, so, but that's what we're looking at. So the things that we have to kind of look at is that these are at distinct locations on the member themselves. Well, we already have those points defined, okay, when we made our VM node, that every one of these guys maybe if I take the auto shape off. Okay, then we have that. All right, which was basically just a way of plotting a point, and then each one of these guys knew how to draw themselves. And I think we can still get away with doing that as well. Okay, now there would be two different aspects of it. We have the node itself that knows how to draw itself, and we'll override that with our ability to draw a roller support or a pin support or a fix support. So we'll need something that tells us which of these three items that we have, whether we're dealing with a roller or a pin or a fix, on our set there. Okay, the basic characteristics of the node are the location on the screen on where it's at and how to draw itself. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a class for a support that inherits from VM node and then overrides the draw function of the iDrawable so that it knows how to draw itself as a circle or a triangle or a fix. Now there are some other issues that we'll have to look at, such as, this is for a roller that is, horizontal there, and then again, what if it's vertical? Well, then we've got to be able to do something relative to that, because the one thing that happens in all of these, that if this is the surface, what we're looking at is we're looking at this being 90 degrees to itself. Okay, so it's that RV value is perpendicular to the surface on which the roller is acting. Okay, so if we have things on ramps or whatever the case, again, that's getting way ahead of ourselves. We're going to keep it fairly simple for now, but there's some challenges with the orientation of this support. So we'll default it to, say, a horizontal position, and then we'll allow the ability to set the angle later on if we need to be able to do that. And so that's kind of where we're looking at. So that's kind of a basic static view of what we want to do. So let's see what we can do about setting this notion up. All right. All right, so here we are back in Visual Studio, and what we want to do is, as we've defined our support type, we want to go in and we want to add a model or add a class that we're going to call as support, or VM support. All right, we're going to make this a public, as always. Control RG to get rid of the unused stuff. And so a couple of things that we want to look at. We want this to inherit from our VM node. So that will get us that one. Now, it's yelling at me right now because it does not have a default constructor. If you remember back in our VM node, the constructor that we had required us to pass in to these. Well, when the base class fires from a derived class, it needs a default constructor. So we'll just throw that in here, and then we'll override those values ourselves. So let's make this a note, default constructor. That will be used by lots of stuff. All right, so that solves that problem, rectifies that. There we go. All right, so then we can put our constructor in here. And what we're going to want is we're going to want a double X, a double Y. Those are our insertion points. And then we're going to create an enum that we're going to call a support type. And then, I hate to use the word type, let's do a support. Okay, and so what we will do, so now it's saying, hey, I don't know what that is, because we've got lots of different types of supports in here. And I think an enum will help us just to kind of override some general functionality if we do that. So let's do a public enum support type, and we will do support roller X, and we'll make that as a 0. Oops. Equals 0. How about a support undefined, which will be our default. We'll just make it a -1. And then how about a support? I can see needing vertical rollers eventually. Roller Y equals 1. And then support pin equals 2. Oops. Comma, put a comma on there, that will help. And then a support fixed 3 or something like that. So that will give us some types to work with on here. All right, and then all I'm going to do is this dot X equals X. This dot Y equals Y. And we do need to store the member type. So let's do a private M support type. And by default, it will be support dot undefined. And we need to make that port types. Pluralize that. And we don't need a semicolon on that. Okay. So I think we're in business. So this is enum for types of supports. Now there are a lot more that can be added to this, but these are the basics that we're just trying to set up here. Private types. And then that will be dot. There we go. Now we're in business. Okay, let's do an M support type equals support. And that gets us our constructor. This is our X chord insert point. And the reason this matters is that we're going to offset this when we go to start drawing things. Chord insert point, that's our Y point, and then support type of support. Can I do a C support types and see if that will allow us to work on that? Will give us a list of types for that. Okay. All right. Almost like I've done this a time or two, right? Okay, so that gets us there. Now we do need to do our draw function. Draw, and this is a canvas C. And that's our target. Public, and that should be a public void. And you're gonna holler at me because you don't know what a canvas is? Okay. And now I think we're public, and this is telling me because I'm overriding a function. We're gonna explicitly override the draw function that the node draws on this. And one of the things that we want to, this is, I can see it now, and about 3 videos from now when I forget and this thing is behaving funny, remind me in the comments that I put a new here. So the reason is that we're overriding default behavior, and that's why the IDE was giving us that warning on this. So I want to make sure that we're handling that. Now we want to do a few things to draw this. First off, we need, let's do a double radius of say 10.0. I don't know why I'm doing everything as doubles. We may change that as well. And then let's do an offset. Oops. Equals 5.0. Okay. All right. Now I just realized that as I jumped straight into coding this, some of you may not be aware of where we're sitting at. Right now, this is our application. We created nodes last time and beams, which are the red objects. And then we had the ability to be able to add a node by clicking anywhere on the screen. What we're wanting to do now is be able to do some testing whereby I can create a different type of node, which would be our support conditions, and getting those drawn. So that's the purpose of everything that we're working on here. So that's what we're looking at trying to do. All right. Okay. All right. And then we want to switch on our support type. I wonder, I think, can I get it to stub out everything? I think there's a way I can do this. So let's do switch. Oh, I didn't do it. Why didn't you stub out on me? Switch. There it is. And then, so what I did is I typed the command switch and then tab twice. And now I think when I type in there it went. And what it did is it stubbed out all of the definitions for me there. Now, undefined, we don't want it to do anything special. And then a lot of these, we'll flesh these out eventually. For now, let's do the roller X. All right. All right, so we want to draw a circle, drawing helpers. Helpers, yeah, dot draw circle. And so this dot X, this dot Y. All right, so now we got kind of our first dilemma. Oh, forgot our canvas. Canvas object needs to be there. So that will draw our circle for our roller X. Okay. Now, I can already see we're going to want to draw some different functionality on this. Let's do drawing. So this draw the roller ball. Okay. And then drawing. And we want to draw the surface line. Drawing helpers. And we're going to draw a line. And then C, start, and end. Okay, so there's our line. Now, we do need to create I already see an issue, but let's do it for now. That our starting line is going to be, start is going to be equal to a new VM node. Okay. That is going to go, so that will get us there. And so start.x equals this dot x, and we're going to go back a radius amount. Okay. And then start.y is going to be equal to this dot y plus the offset amount. And that will move that line down a little bit. And we're going to make the offset not hard-coded to 5. Let's make that radius divided by 2. That way I can change that radius amount and it will fix this offset. Now it's going, I don't know what the end node is, and I know that. Control C. End. And whoa, that didn't work. That gets us this, and so now we just want to do a plus. All right, and so now if I go to my on-user create, let's make a test support. So we got a VM support equals a new VM support. And we want to do, let's do it at say 50 and 150 and make this a support types dot roller X. Yeah, I don't need an equal sign there. Where are my supports? Support types. All right. There we go. It was, I made the name the same as the enum, and I shouldn't have done that. Okay, so that gets us there. Let's just test it onto main canvas. Gets us that. And again, So it did a full-blown node. Now here's the issue, is that we've overridden the node. So it's doing what we wanted. There's the line that goes with it. Now what we want to do is we probably want to draw these a little differently, and this is where I think we're going to make some new helpers to kind of help us clarify this a little bit. All right, so let's close that. Let's go to our drawing helpers. All right, so the first one that we want to do is we want to probably get some these fill types that we have in here. I want to go brush, fill, brush, stroke. That will get us those sizes. Oops, and that needs to be a capital. So we're going to add the ability to be able to write these circles with different colors and different properties. And so first thing we're going to do is we're going to make this as a fill. And then this as our stroke color. Okay, that gets us that. So now it's going to be complaining that when we told it to draw the circle the first time, now it doesn't know the colors. Okay, and it's not finding the node draw. This is the one that we want to fix, is what's happening here we're back in VM node. This was where the circle was drawn. So for this guy, we want to do brushes dot. So the fill is first, so make it black fill. Brush, black. All right, and then we want to do brushes dot white for the ring, and we're going to add another parameter here that is going to be the radius of our circle, and it's going to yell at me because, again, obviously we've changed the definition. We're just kind of making this a little bit more generic, and so let's do a double radius equals 30 as kind of a default value. All right, now. And with that, I can take that off because we're just going to default that puppy. Where are you? Ah, I put him in the wrong order. All right, I'll go fix our... You two guys need to be after here. There we go. That should solve that. Okay, so that draws our circle. Just to test, make sure everything still looks the same. Ooh, why are you blowing up on me? Draw circle. Oh, that's because of my new shape. So I'm going to do our brushes dot transparent. Gets me that one. We want to do, let's do a brushes dot blue for your circle color, and then your radius, let's make you a 10.0. And see if that now looks a little bit different. Okay, so what's happened, obviously, that is not 10 units, and I know why that is. That is in, let's go back to our node. And that's because when we drew go to our drawing helpers, is this guy right here was hard-coded. Radius and radius, and that should solve that. There we go. And so now you can see we're now drawing a support condition that's a little bit different. Okay. All right, now, I do see one other thing. I'll go back and show you. So we were drawing our beams as red, but that was coming out of the default line diagram. And so now anytime I draw a line, it's going to draw as red. And again, it's kind of the same issue with fill color and those kind of things. So let's go through and add brushes, stroke here. Brushes, I'll make you a stroke on that guy. All right, and then when I go to the beam and I draw the line, now I can do brushes.red. Gets me that. And then if I go to my support, when I draw the line, we can do something different. Brushes dot, yeah, blue sounds good to me. There's something to kind of indicate that it is a, I miss? Where's my drawing helper? That needs to be a brush. Where is my beam? I guess I had the wrong type. All right. And there we go. So now we're drawing a different point for our ruler support. All right, so that gets us that one. Now, like I said, there's a lot of parameters to pass, and I'm wondering, by default, could we make another helper, public static shape draw circle hollow. I think if we do this, that will allow us just to call this function and not have to pass in a bunch of other stuff, hopefully. Although it's gonna, only thing we're gonna save is one argument and a default radius. Yeah, let's do it. So circle hollow. There now is no fill here because the fill is going to be brushes dot transparent. It gets me that one. And again, our radius is whatever. But all of that's the same. So let's go return, draw circle. We want to pass it C, pass it X, pass it Y, pass it brushes dot transparent, pass it stroke, and then pass it the radius. All right, and then I can delete all of that. So it's just a little bit of a shorter version where I don't have to keep setting that. And so now when I go do my support, I can do draw circle hollow. Again, it gets rid of one parameter. It's not a big deal, but that'll work. All right. So that will get us that one. All right, now let's go see if we can do our pin. That will be our next one. Oops. All right, so move our so we're going to now draw a pin triangle. So we're going to need 3 points. VM node. I've already got the insert point. So we want to draw a line from start. It knows its location. I'm wondering if I shouldn't create the support based off of a node. I guess I can put a support anywhere. And I think that's what I want to do. So my dilemma is here is that all my functions are using VM node objects, but I've declared this point as an X and a Y. He is a node. I can't have a node that is a node. That's, yeah, no, I think we're gonna do it this way. Let's do our insert point. VM node insert equals new. And if I do what, x, this dot x, this dot y, that will get us that one. There's our insert. That should be a capital Y. Okay. Now we can draw a line that goes from start to insert. Control C. And this is, it goes from insert to end. And then do another one. Control C, Control V. And then start to insert, insert to end. And then what? End, start. And if I go back over here, let's do another support. Support 2, make you a pen. And we'll put you down a little bit lower at 200, just so that we can see it. Oh, whoops, I drew it twice. Support 2. All right, so it sort of drew the triangle. It also drew the circle still. All right, so we just need to kind of tweak how we're drawing this just a little bit. We don't need... We're going to change your color to green. No. Yeah, green's fine. There's something so that I know that it's recognizing the type. All right, so that draws our triangle. And then we want to draw the baseline. Yeah. I really want to make that a little bit. Let's do a base start, base end. Instead of, let's do start.x. Base start, base start, base end, base end. And then the X point will add a little bit. And then we want to draw the baseline. So C, base, whoops, base start, base insert. Oh, nope, base end. Pay attention to what you're doing there, boy. All right. Got kind of an offset issue here. It's that because I have that I offsetted twice. So that draws us that. Let's put your offset calculation here because I want to do a different offset for the pen. Or do I? Let me keep the offset value. That's kind of where you start to draw things. Don't need that. Take that out, put that back. We're undoing here. All right, I got us to there. Okay. The problem that we have insert X. It shouldn't be this dot X. I want the insert point. Again, this is just tweaking it so it looks nice. Because all this is draw stuff. We don't. Okay. All right, and so then my new node location is this dot X. This is X point. But then it's this dot Y plus offset on that. And then I offset again. Let's go 2.0 times the offset. And do 2.0 times the offset. And that should give us a little better looking triangle, I hope. All right, that's kind of working for us. So there's that one. And fixed. Horizontal, I'm going to change this name. Horizontal is 3. And then support fixed. And we'll abbreviate that because that doesn't need to be that long. Equals 4. All right, and that gets us that one. Okay, so now we can come down, fixed, horizontal, and then I need to make another case. That is the vertical one that we just added. So many of these that are going to get added over time. All right, that gets us that. All right, and so now what I want to do is draw our kind of the same type of object. Stop my editing. There we go. So now we're going to do a vertical. So oops, that doesn't need to be there. All right, so I don't need all the points that we needed. So my offset on this, my insert point, okay, will just be the point. The start will be insert X. Well, minus the radius, that still works. My start Y will be minus, and let's make this fairly pronounced. Let's do 3 times the offset up, and then plus 3 times the offset there, and we're going to make that the same minus radius. So again, one of the issues that we'll have here is we're going to draw to the left of the node point, but what if the fixed end is on the right? So there will be some drawing details that will have to be worked out on, some logic. But I think for now that's what we're looking for there. We don't need the base start. We just need a start and an end. Okay, and just for testing purposes, make our fixed support red. And then I can delete all of that. And then I can make that. Oops, forgot to make my type. So let's go make another one. So here's my support 3. Fixed, horizontal, and then that, and then we'll draw him, and we'll put him down at 250. Not real pretty, is it? But at least we have a way to denote the different types of supports that we want to be able to draw on this thing now. So I think that took about 30 minutes to get all that set up. We made a couple of minor changes, nothing too earth-shattering. We added to our drawing helpers some properties on this so that we can pass in variables and kind of change things up on the fly. We did do this circle hollow shape, which was kind of cool. And so now it's just a matter of kind of going in and fleshing out the features. Now, what we do with these supports, we still got to kind of reason our way through that. Ultimately, we're going to have a button that, I can click, a support button and say, hey, I want to fix support here. And when we click it, it will create a node. And there will be some things that I don't really like already, kind of with how we're creating all these things. We don't ever add the supports to our drawing object. So once we're forcing it to draw here, whereas I almost need to rethink a little bit about, do I need to do I guess I could, let's just, for now, nodes.add, whoops, because he is a node, but I think if I do that, I think he'll start looking like a regular node again. And he is. Okay, so what's happened is we dynamically created a bunch of points here, and by adding them to the nodes, I've got to do something in this where I cast it to what its type is. For item.draw. And how do I distinguish those items from each other? How do I distinguish a support node from a regular node in this collection of what I call nodes? And that's one of the dilemmas that we'll have to kind of think about and kind of probably address in a future video. But for now, we've added the ability to be able to draw our different support types, and that's what we wanted to pretty much accomplish. So now I can create a support on the fly. It knows the type here and where it's at. We've got our test code, and we are good for that. So anyway, I hope this has been interesting for you. As always, if you found it entertaining at all, or watch me make my minor mistakes along the way, we're getting faster, getting a little better at it. But if you found it entertaining, think about supporting the channel, giving us a thumbs up on the video, and we'll keep these coming, hopefully 1 to 2 a week for the foreseeable future, just so we can kind of work on this project and kind of get it evolved and into something that becomes kind of a useful tool. So anyway, that's what we have for today. Thanks for coming out. As always, subscribe to the channel, and we will see you all next time. Thanks. Bye.